Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abbey, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abbey, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abbey,
Dear Abbey,
Dear Abbey.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abbey podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Okay. I think we're good to get started. Yep, we are. And action. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dear Abbey. I'm your host. My name is Abby. Welcome back. Happy you all can make it today. So today we have a great episode planned. And yes, that is my own opinion, but I do agree with it. We have a great episode planned today. I will share my dubs and L's, and then I will go into the meat of today's episode. I feel like I've been starting kind of crazy, and I just jump right in, and I apologize for that. I need to slow my roll a little bit because it can be jarring to start a podcast maybe and it jumps right in, but most podcasts do, or maybe that's called engaging your audience. Anyways, I have just been scatterbrained or something. I don't know. I've had a really hard time focusing on one thing, even though you can't focus on multiple things, but I feel like I can't really my brain, that the part of my brain that focuses is just not hello, it's just not in there. It's not doing its job. And yeah, it's been pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. I think it's just been working on a computer all day, but I don't know what that does, but that destroys your focus anywhere else. There's only so many hours I can focus in a day. Today, we are talking about being honest with ourselves, being honest with yourself, with myself, about how easily do we give up when things get hard. I'm talking about the feeling of when something is really hard and you feel it, or when something is really uncomfortable and you feel it and then you quit. And you might not call it quitting. You might do what I do and be like, well, I just don't have to do it. I don't really want to do it right now. I'm fine without it. I'm fine if I don't. And then you don't do it. And then you are technically fine, but there's no progression. There's no changing or truly, changing or having any sort of different experience in this life, because we can get too caught up in feeling comfortable and not pushing ourselves past a certain point because we're scared of what's after that. So I want to talk about that today. We'll get into that. But first, we'll do some dubs and L's, life update vibes. My dub for this week is I have been putting myself out there in terms of trying to make friends. I feel like a dumb, I feel so silly, but I have tried. I've just played games with new people. I'm trying to let friends in more. I'm also trying new things with new people. I'm a pretty closed book, I think, in terms of letting new people in and really being myself with them. It takes me a while. I'm very sensitive to rejection for some reason. Well, not for some reason. It probably has to do with how my divorce happened. There's still a scar there. And I think also just from growing up, there's just underlying feelings, and I'm really sensitive to rejection, especially when somebody makes fun of me. I can handle it on the outside, depending on who. I can handle it depending on who it is. If it's somebody I know, I can take teasing all day. If it's somebody that I don't fully trust yet, or that I don't know, if they make fun of me too much, there's teasing and there's making fun. If someone makes fun of me, it's really hard for me to ever want to be friends with them because I'm just sensitive. I don't know. I can take teasing, but I can't take being made fun of. And to me, there's a difference. Anyways, that being said, I have a hard time always letting loose with people and having fun and talking, period. Just talking to them. They can talk to me and I can kind of talk back, but it's really hard for me to feel not super self-conscious when I'm talking, or super aware of what I'm saying when I'm saying it, everything like that. And I have just been meeting new people and kind of going out of my way to try to trust people a little bit more and let them in a little bit more, even on a really tiny level. That's all I'm comfortable with. yeah, I think I'm just proud of myself for that, because that's a hard thing to do, especially being sensitive to my feelings getting hurt, and also just knowing the reality of how people can totally betray your trust. It's a helpful thing, but it's also just kind of hard. So I'm not mad at myself for having a little bit of a wall up with people, because sometimes I do think it kind of helps you not get into any messes or just be not opening up to the wrong people. So I don't want to put too much pressure on myself with that, but I think just a little bit of improvement is good, because it does make me feel more connected and more normal with people versus kind of isolating myself because I'm scared that I'm going to get hurt. So proud of myself for that, little by little. And then my L is I regret is that I know I talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's only been a couple weeks with my new camera, or going back to my old camera, and I was wrong for wanting to do this. I like the vibe kind of, but my camera that I use currently is a lot harder to manage and to figure out the settings for than the camera that my husband would so graciously allow me to use. Even though his is way nicer and there's way more settings, he knew how to set it up perfectly for me. And this one, I am left to my own devices, and there's no devices, basically. And so it's more stressful for me, and I actually don't like the quality. So I was wrong when I said sometimes I like the less good quality. Sometimes I just don't know what I want. Sometimes I think I have like this big feeling and I think I know what I want, and then I do it, or I'm like, yeah, this is it. And it's not it. And I'm like, so my feelings were wrong? Yes. Sometimes my feelings are wrong. Well, let me rephrase. Sometimes the thoughts associated with my big feelings are wrong. Sometimes the ideas that come from my feelings can be wrong, as in a misdirection. So now that I know that I'd rather just have it be nice quality. I know that for next time, but we'll see how I feel next week and if I want to take the time to set everything up. So my L is that I can be pretty indecisive. And actually, I will make a decision and then be like, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. So that's my L, is that I was wrong. I think I preferred the better, nicer camera, shockingly. I have it at my disposal. Might as well just use it. Okay, those are the dubs and L's. Also, I don't think I said this, but I hope you are having a great day. I think I said that, but I just want to be clear. I hope you're having a great day. It feels so weird when I look into the camera's eye and I say, hey, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're having a great day. Okay, let's get into the meat of today's episode. I wanted to be very vulnerable about something that I've always struggled with since I can remember, and that's giving up when things get hard on big and small things. But I don't really give up on people. I think I have learned that about myself. I don't give up on people, but I give up on myself a lot. I am like a chronic, when things get really uncomfortable and hard, I want to give up because I'm like, well, I'm just content where I am. Though that can be very true, where I'm like, I am very happy. I feel like my heart, I actually really long for change and growth and progress and something new to learn, to be, to become. And I think I just used to think of change and progressing and new and different as like being ungrateful for what I have now. And so I would kind of use that as, I don't think I really realized it was an excuse until recently, but I think it was more of a little bit of an excuse to just not do harder things, or to just be like, I don't need to do this. I'm happy with my life. I don't need to do this. But then there's a part of me that really misses big challenges and really trying to learn something new and be something new and really like transform myself, like my soul, me, who I am. And this was sparked because I was at the gym this morning. I go to the gym multiple times a week. but I go twice in the morning every week before work. I get there and I normally have a pretty good workout, but I don't like to lift heavy because I'm a little bit anxious about hurting myself. But I also realized when I was doing, I think I was doing glute bridges or something. I can't remember what the exact workout was. Yeah, it was glute bridges, but I was doing them on the mat with weights. And I realized when things got really hard and my butt was like on fire, I just like stopped and I was like, I don't need to keep going. Like that should be enough. And it just was interesting because the past couple of weeks I've been really discouraged about how I've been trying to tone out my body. I've been trying to kind of fix my posture, my physique, and not because I don't love my body. I'm genuinely really, I have a pretty decent relationship with my body as a woman. And also I really miss being and feeling healthy and that I can jump and do like a jump rope and not feel like my head starts to throb or I feel like I have high blood pressure or something. That's really specific, but there's just certain things that make me feel weak. Anyways, I've just been feeling discouraged because I have been working out for a long time. I haven't really ran as much in the past month, but I was running for a couple of months every week, multiple times a week. I was going on walks every day, but I've been feeling very discouraged that I feel like my body composition has not changed at all. I try to eat really healthy. I do a really good job at doing 80-20. On the weekends, we eat sugar, but even then, sometimes I'm like, I don't even really want sugar too much sometimes. And it's not because I'm overthinking it. I'm just like, I don't really want sugar. I don't know. So I was really discouraged and I've been thinking about that and being like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why can't I just get it right? And why can't I see change happen? Now, fast forward to today, when the second that I started to actually feel the burn in my butt and in my legs, I was like, that's probably good enough. Like I felt a little bit uncomfortable. I felt a little bit of like oh, that burns. And then I stopped. And this example is just on a physical level, so it sounds a little bit shallow, perhaps. But for me, it kind of showed me that I do give up when things are really difficult. And I had to be honest with myself about that because I'm like, okay, if you're trying to actually change your body composition, or if you're actually trying to make a difference and change how your physique right now, or get really into shape because you want to feel better and feel healthy and active and athletic, you can't just keep doing the same things and not adding more weight, or you can't keep basically training at like 70%. And so I had to be, again, very honest with myself about how much am I actually sacrificing to get the physique that I would want or to feel stronger. And it was really kind of freeing to not justify it in my head, I guess. And be like, well, I'm working really hard and I have work and, all of these kind of excuses sounds like mean because I'm all about being compassionate, but I feel like I'm learning, and I feel like I learned this before with OCD recovery, was self-compassion isn't just like lying to yourself about what you're doing. It's not lying to yourself about how hard are you actually trying. Are you actually willing to get uncomfortable and do new things, brand new things, and expand? The only way to expand is to really get out of your comfort zone and not just like your comfortable, uncomfortable zone, like an uncomfortable zone. So I was very honest with myself in recognizing that I do give up pretty quickly when I start to feel like at 80%. And then I never know what it's like to do 100%. And it's not just the physical, it definitely translates into other aspects and areas of my life where I can fake it and I can act like everything's okay, but to really throw myself 100% into something and be ready to get hurt and be ready to fail a couple of times is something I have a hard time doing. And it kind of made me think of how I don't want to lie to myself anymore because that's not very self-compassionate. It's I think in a book, I don't remember what book it is, but there's a book about self-compassion, and I heard them talk about it in the OCD stories, but she talks about this. She's like, it's not just the self-care stuff, and that can be helpful, and sometimes we need that. Like if you haven't showered in a while, or if you haven't really taken the time to clean your feet, then take the time to do that. And a lot of it can be honesty with yourself, and what are you actually letting in, or what are you actually putting out? Sometimes we can be too scared to try anything new or get really uncomfortable in a new space and a new environment because of the unknown. I mean, we hear that a million times, but I feel like until you face it, you don't really understand what that means when you don't want to try something new because you're scared of the unknown. Even if the unknown is really good, which most of the time it is, I feel like every time I've done something that I've always wanted to do or that I really commit to, it's normally really positive. But that is my fear, at least, is like the unknown of what if I do this and then I'm wasting my time, or what if I try this and I fail and then my confidence gets worse, and what if I do this and everybody laughs at me? What if I and I'm sure you're familiar with the what ifs in your own head. So it comes back to being scared of the unknown and what's going to happen next. Sometimes it might feel like you're in a mental slump because we can be tricked into thinking we need to be and feel different in order to get out of the slump, versus accepting that you, as the person you are right now, is the one that's going to have to overcome something, or is the one that's going to have to put in the work. Like you are going to have to do it. And something that can get in the way of fully taking a leap into something, or just adding more weight, is that a part of you feels like it's going to be a waste of time, and that you're not even really capable of change. So there might be like an underlying belief that you can't really change, or that your circumstance can never change, or that you can never be happy again, or that you can never find lasting peace, or that you can never, find what you're looking for, whatever that is. I really feel like that's one of the hardest parts about life, is to keep that belief up in yourself and in other people, and to live according to that belief. So maybe if we're in a mental slump, we can just reflect and think about what belief are we holding about us changing our life or changing our circumstance, and do we believe that's actually possible? And why don't we believe that if we don't? What do we think about ourselves? What do we believe about ourselves and what we're capable of, or what life has to offer? Just get curious, not judgmental. Just get really curious about your feelings about everything. And a reminder, the reason why sometimes we can feel like we're in a slump is because maybe we're, again, not being honest with ourselves about something that we're doing, something that we're not doing, something that we're not living by that we want to. Like, what do you want to live by that you're not? And let's change that. And if anything, any thoughts, any beliefs pop up after you try to change something, address those. Squash them, however long that takes, or however we want to do that. And then keep going after the gap of what you want to be living like and what you are. I wanted to touch back into self-compassion really quick before we go into our Dear Abbey, because this is a really important aspect of our lives. And I probably should on myself and should on this podcast, and I apologize for when I do, because I do think that subconsciously is like adding on to maybe just we're never doing enough and we're always doing the wrong thing, and that can sometimes stop us from actually doing the right thing and what we want to be doing, and so that can just get layered on. So not that we should already have been doing this, but something we can do is practice that self-compassion. And I don't remember what the book is. Maybe I can find it and link it, but it is a really good book, and it can remind us of how much better our experience can be living in our own bodies and our own mind, and how to really take care of yourself, and just getting to know yourself on a realistic level, really understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses can be, and start to be okay with the humanity in yourself. And I feel like that makes it easier to try new things because we're not so scared of not being perfect, or we're not so scared of life being a little bit messy or unpredictable. All this was started because I didn't want to finish out my set of doing just glute bridges on the mat at the gym this morning. And I thought, why am I doing this? If I'm coming to the gym, might as well just go all in and actually like make myself uncomfortable, make myself actually push past the point of no return, or just push myself to where I actually will start to see growth and see muscle growth and see a change. Okay, well, that's it for the meat of today's episode. I hope that made sense. And then let's get into a Dear Abby, and then we'll end today's episode. Okay, here is our Dear Abby. It is a text message. It says, this one's recent. Also, thank you guys for sending more in. I always need more, but you guys provided a couple. So thank you. This one says, Dear Abby, do you have any advice for making new friends in your 20s? I feel like the friends that I used to have kind of drifted away, and my best friend is moving out of state in 2 weeks, ... Any tips for where to meet new friends or how to build better relationships? I know a couple people from church, but just get in my head feeling like I'm always the one reaching out or putting in effort, and feeling like everyone already has their own groups, etc. I'm scared to get close to people only for them to leave me. Help. Okay, well, that's ironic because I was literally talking about that earlier in this episode. I did not read that beforehand, people. We're just on the same wavelength, okay? We're similar people, okay? You guys get me, I get you, maybe you probably get me is what I was going to say. Okay, I will say from the message that I got from that text is it sounds like you can get in your head about the signals people are giving you and not being able to read those signals, and or you might just be thinking about the relationship a little bit too much to where it's now not even enjoyable, even if you could be good friends with them, because when you are with them or when you're even thinking about hanging out, you're just in your head instead of in your body and your life. So that can be a big barrier, I think, to feel safe around people and to feel like you're letting people in. So I would suggest, as I was previously talking about, trying to just let people in and recognize that they're not perfect. They also probably have thoughts in their head that make them overthink their relationship. And maybe they're thinking, maybe they have a lot of work and stuff going on, so they're not replying as much or reaching out as much, or maybe they don't have as much time. And they also feel bad about that. And maybe they wish that they didn't get in their head so much because they don't reply very quickly. And then maybe they think that you don't like them because they don't reply. I don't know. Like, especially us women can overthink relationships and overcomplicate things, which is okay sometimes, which is a part of life. And it's something that we just have to learn how to manage and live with and as a woman. But at the same time, just because we tend to overthink doesn't mean that has to be the standard of our relationships, and that you have to continue to not enjoy the friendships and just the time that you spend with somebody because we are stuck in our heads. So I would say if you have any ideas for yourself previously about how to get out of your head and into your body, I would use those for relationships. And I think with making friends, a couple of tips just in terms of where to meet them. I've said this, find hobbies that you like and maybe try new hobbies, go to classes, but do it something consistently. Don't just go to one class, like a pottery class, and expect to find somebody the first day. Sometimes it happens, not very likely. You most likely have to go multiple times consistently, like at the same time, so that you're around the people over and over and over again, especially if you're a slow burner with friends or with girlfriends, then you probably will have to do that and stay consistent and kind of force yourself to be in their space. Because if you have a hard time making friends, then you're probably not going to make best friends with a random person at like a party that you see one time. Those people have a special gift of making people feel comfortable, and also they don't overthink, at least in the moment, the relationship maybe. And if they do, they're really good at overcoming that, and we should applaud those people. So that's, I think, how to meet people, as well as just online. Like, you have to kind of take a chance on friends. You have to be rejected sometimes by friends, and maybe you put yourself out there, you invite them to do something that you'd want to do, and they come, and then they never reply to your text ever again. And then you are rejected. You are officially rejected by that person. They don't want to spend more time with you. That could happen. And we have to be comfortable with that. And it doesn't have to be deeper than just like you're different people, and that's okay. We don't need to analyze that. It is not your job to make people see and like you and hang out with you. You just be yourself. You be a good person. You be kind. And the people that you will vibe with, you'll vibe with. So I think the main things to summarize is A, go somewhere consistently that you enjoy doing that might have like-minded people, or go somewhere consistently that might have people that enjoy the same things as you do, but you probably won't find someone that's the exact personality type, and that's probably a good thing if you are more of a shy. I don't want to say shy because that sometimes has like negative connotations, but just like if you don't say anything until you feel like there's something to be said type of a person, because that's how I feel. The second thing is, if you notice that you're overthinking and you're thinking too much about a relationship, or if you're hanging out with someone and you're just in your head, it's almost going to be impossible for you to connect with that person on a deeper level eventually, because when you're in your head, it's really hard to be in your life and be present with that person. You can't really do both at the same time. You got to put yourself out there. Think of the old wise song called The Hokey Pokey. You put your whole self in. That's what I think. You got to put your whole self in. I was actually kidding, but that kind of is true. You can't just put like 5% of yourself in sometimes. You got to be vulnerable. You got to open yourself up. As I said at the beginning, that can be slowly, and you can relearn how to do that, because I feel like we all were pretty good at that as kids. And then you grow out of that and you learn to, after being rejected probably 1,000 times, you realize, oh, okay, I'm going to get my feelings hurt. I don't want to be friends with anyone. So in order to relearn that, it might take time. So be very patient with yourself, and put yourself out there, because it'll be worth it when you do find people that love you and care about you and you build a good relationship with. But it does probably require patience and time and letting loose. If it's possible for you to let loose, I would perform the term let loose. Let loose, as they say. Don't think I've ever let loose a day in my life. Okay, well, I have to go and finish planning my Dungeons and Dragons one-shot. I'm really excited. I'm making a video, like a video log. I'm making a YouTube video just sharing what it is and also how I'm planning it. And I've got to say, it's my favorite one that I've made so far, just because it's something I can nerd out about, and that's always fun. That's it for today's episode. If you guys want to support the podcast, that would be much appreciated as your humble podcast host. But if you want to support, seriously, you can go to the Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review, and the Spotify listener thing and leave a rating and a review. And I do post my podcast on YouTube if you're interested in watching while I talk, or just have me on in the background. Cool. If that's creepy to you, totally fine. Totally understand. But if you're interested, you can subscribe and comment. I love comments, you guys. I love seeing comments. I try my best to reply, or at least heart all of them. Don't ever be shy commenting, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Dear Abby. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Oh my gosh, wait, it's my birthday weekend. It's my birthday. tomorrow. Well, it's my birthday in 2 days. It's my birthday in 2 days. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost didn't tell you guys my birthday. That's crazy of me. I kind of forgot. I'm so focused on the Dungeons and Dragons game that I kind of forgot that like the reason I'm doing it is because it's my birthday and I wanted to do it for my birthday. I'm going to be 28. I'm going to be 28 years old. I've got to say, this year has been a little bit interesting, but it's been great because I got married. Okay, you know what? I don't need to do a whole recap. Screw that. I'm not doing that. Okay, love you guys. Bye. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum.
우회전 taking a ride to Jonathan 눈치 보면서 들어가 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람들